Listen, I get it. I was there too. When you're just new and you're starting out, you don't want to put on fat. That's the last thing that everyone wants to do. No one wants to put on any fat. They want to get big, but they don't want to eat more. They don't want to put on fat. So you're stuck in the situation where it's like, how can I lean bulk? How can I do this body recomp? I bulked up just fine. I don't think I was ever fat at any point. I put on all the muscle that I ever wanted to. I'm going to share with you exactly how I did it. All right, the first things first, you gotta train legs hard. Most people, especially guys, most guys do not wanna train legs at all. Legs is like the day that they wanna take off. If there's one day in the week that they're gonna miss, it'll conveniently be leg day. It'll conveniently be the day where they're supposed to be squatting. To add on to that, if there's a day that they'll ever put less intensity into, for most people, it's gonna be the leg day. You know, they'll go ham on chest day, they'll go ham with their biceps, you know, they wanna get the pump, they wanna get that juicy bench press going. When it comes to legs, it's just, oh, let me just hit calves for 3 to 4 sets of who cares how many reps, because I'm just gonna do it for a bunch and then go out the door. If you want to lean bulk, you gotta train your legs, and you gotta do it just as hard as any other movement, especially when it comes to movements like your squat. This movement is gonna grow you the most, both physically and as a character. When it comes to legs, you can push yourself much harder. This allows you to burn much more calories. If you ever done like any kind of leg movement such as squats or leg press to failure, you'll understand that the pain threshold is much further from the actual failure point than it is for upper body. You can push yourself much harder on legs. On top of that, your leg muscles are much larger. They're like almost half your body when it comes to, you know, when it comes to like your quads, it's like almost half your body, right? With that in mind, with the intensity and those muscle size in mind, you're gonna realize how many calories your legs are gonna burn when you actually push them to the max. It's going to demand a high amount of energy from your body. This ensures that you keep excess calories to a minimum. If you want to look at it a different way, think of those, you know, those really fat but jacked like bodybuilders who can like bench press like 400 pounds. Those kind of guys whose appearance we don't want to look like, right? And I'll compare that guy to like that really muscular guy, but he also has insane legs and he's like athletic too, and he can like run and he can like hit. The difference between doing legs and not doing legs is the difference between that guy and that guy. So make sure you're doing your legs and make sure you're doing them hard. Second tip I have for you is intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is something that's coming to light more and more in recent days. Basically, what intermittent fasting is you fast for extended periods of the day and you only have small eating windows where you can eat food. It doesn't need to be too extreme. Intermittent fasting has so many benefits that I can make a whole different video on that. But I'm gonna stick to the reasons as to why it's gonna help you lean bulk and keep the fat off. The first thing about intermittent fasting is that when you fast, your insulin levels drop significantly. What this means is that your body's insulin sensitivity becomes really high. The next time you eat after fasting, your body will make much more use of the nutrients in the food. It's gonna move all of the glucose and all of the other proteins and nutrients into your muscles to help them grow instead of storing them as fat. Intermittent fasting will also provide you with massive hormonal benefits. Your testosterone will go up, your metabolism will go up. This makes it much easier to build muscle as well as burn fat so that you can stay in that leaner shape that you want to stay in. The last part from my end is that for me, it is so much easier to eat a boatload of food when I'm just ravenously hungry after fasting for like the whole morning and like partly the afternoon too. When I go to that first meal, you know, I can destroy, you know, 1,500, 2,000 calorie meals like that just because of how hungry I am. And I make use of that eating window that I mentioned before where I'm hungry and I keep eating as fast as I can and I keep inputting those calories so that I can experience the maximum growth. I know a lot of guys who struggle to actually eat the calories that they need. So if you're one of those people, try using this tip. It might help you out. All right, the last tip for the lean bulk is to utilize your compound lifts. Compound lifts overall work your body the hardest. They recruit the most amount of muscles and are the highest efficiency when it comes to how much your body is being worked, burning the most calories while also building the most muscle. Also, another side note is compound lifts are pretty idiot proof. They will pretty much always provide you massive amounts of value as long as you're not getting injured. Even if you're not doing it totally correctly, even if you're not pushing yourself as hard as you can, just doing the volume of a compound lift will provide you with massive benefits anyways. Whereas isolation exercises, on the other hand, you know, if you're not doing them correctly, if you're doing for example, let's say I'm doing a bicep curl and I just do it like that, or, you know, I'm not fully feeling the tension, or I'm using a weight that's too light, I'm not using the right intensity. Not only do these isolation exercises not burn the kind of calories that I want to burn, you know, if I was doing like a row or a pull down, but on top of that, doing them incorrectly, doing them not as intensely as I'm supposed to, is gonna have major drawbacks when it comes to my growth. When I was at the peak of my bulk, when I was in like the last 2 to 3 months of my bulk, my upper body day was literally just 4 exercises plus one shoulder accessory. That's how much I relied on these compound movements. I only did compounds. I didn't do the, arms or anything like that. It was just every set was a highly intense, high rep, close to failure, perfect set where it's like everything just I was done perfectly, everything done with high intensity. I gave it my all, I went all out, and I did that. I only took me 4 exercises a day, plus I did some lateral raises usually. And I saw massive growth all around while staying quite lean. I was still able to do running. I was still able to do running outside and other sporting activities as well. If you want to stay lean while bulking, you got to use a bit more compound movements. I know they're not as fun as switching around and going to all the colorful machines, but it keeps things simple and it gets the job done. Actually, one more thing I almost left out, strength training. Training only for hypertrophy will cause you to balloon up. You will likely put on a belly if you do not incorporate some form of strength training, if you don't incorporate some form of power building. If you want to stay lean while bulking up, strength training is one of the best ways to do it. Incorporating some amount of strength training while still maintaining a high rep hypertrophy range is, in my experience, the best way to do it. People who only train strength just become fat and are able to lift a lot of weight. People who only train hypertrophy look massive but are also fat. It's only people who do power building are the ones who have that lean athletic physique. Strength training will increase your muscle density, it'll increase your metabolism, and it'll also increase your calorie efficiency. All three of these things are going to help you with your lean bulk. So make sure to incorporate some strength training as well. All right, guys, lastly, I wanted to talk about what not to do. I know this is not the answer that everyone was hoping for, but here's some things you do not want to do while bulking. So first things first, you do not want to be avoiding carbs. You don't want to be you don't even want to be avoiding sugars or other kind of snacks. These kind of foods are very essential to the bulk to provide nutrients, to provide energy so that we can continue to push through and finish the exercise that we need to finish through, get the work done, and see the growth that we want to see. The second thing is don't be too restrictive on your diet in general. Your diet is mostly something that needs to be accounted for. You need to keep it, relatively clean, not too clean, especially when you're bulking, but you need to keep it relatively clean, relatively healthy, high in protein. Everything else regarding your diet is just about the calories in and the calories out. It's just about the math. So make sure you're eating enough. Make sure you're getting all the surplus that you need in order to grow, even if other people don't like it. Don't be afraid of the carbs. Don't be afraid of the salts, the sauces. All those things are part of food and they're part of what's going to make you grow. One of the biggest mental blocks that I see is people with their diets. In my experience, just let it fly. Obviously, don't eat like a 2-pound bag of chips and then come back and be like, oh, I let it fly. Like within reason, use your common sense. But all right, guys, that's going to bring us to the end of this video about lean bulking. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below, or better yet, join my Discord server. I'll answer any of your questions for free anytime. Drop a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys next time.